morning and welcome to the Sports Debate Podcast. I am your host, BA, along with my other two co-hosts, James J. Train Martin and Jack Hirsch. The debate is on this morning. Let's get it going. First question on the docket is, should the NFL take action against the New England Patriots over Mike Vrabel's recent conduct? And I'm going to go to Jack on this one.
They take action over most other people. Why not in a case like this? Let's investigate further. Reportedly, Robert Kraft, the Patriot owner, got in touch with the New York Post either directly or through intermediaries and tried to get photos squashed of Vrabel with the reporter Diane Rossini. Isn't there a thing called insider trader information? We hear that on Wall Street. And she's getting this information. He's giving her this information. Does it affect anything? Let's get one thing straight in the beginning. Mike Vrabel said this whole thing was laughable. He said it was laughable. I'm holding him to his words. It's laughable to me. I'm going to laugh at Mike Vrabel. I'm going to give it to him. He's a big joke. Mike Vrabel is a big joke, and I'm taking him at his own words. What he suggested about the whole thing being laughable. Now Mike Vrabel comes out, well, I was trying to protect my family. I'm in counseling. So he creates a narrative that he's missing the second day of the draft, the lower picks, because he's in counseling. Of all days to be in counseling, and then he's back in the office a couple of days later, the day the draft is over, he's back in the office preparing for the season. And then he's saying, well, the two most important things in order is family and the Patriots. Is he kidding? It's the Patriots. Oh, yeah, he cares about his family, too. I'm not questioning that also. Same way Jimmy Johnson cared about his sons when he never saw them play football because he didn't have time all those years. Now he does. Now he regrets it. Now he's got his priorities in place after it's all over and he's no longer a coach. So good for him in that account. And now he expresses regret over it. And maybe Mike Vrabel is going to express regret later on. But look, the NFL takes action against all these players. They do. A guy has an altercation with something and they take action against him. If there's a conduct clause, they take action against him. Look, Ray Rice slugged his wife. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. They were going to only suspend him a couple of games, but that created an uproar. So then they switched it to whatever season, a two, I don't know. But Ray Rice never found himself back in the league. Who did they hurt the most, the NFL? Ray Rice's wife, who's with him to this day. They lost all that money, all that income. They didn't give Ray Rice a chance at a second chance that his wife gave him. And reportedly everything is fine between them. It was an awful incident. And the NFL should have taken action against Ray Rice in some form. Mike Vrabel is a joke with him and his counseling. He wants to protect his family. He wants to protect himself. He wants to get back on the job. That's all he does. He wants to protect Diana Rossini, who he had an affair with, apparently, all while he was married to his wife all those years. And it's a typical case. He got caught. And then he lied. And then a second time. So I'm going to cut it short. Mike Vrabel what he did was disgusting personally. He hurt the image of the league. And the league should take action against him and investigate if they tried to stop the Post from those photos, printing those photos. Some type of severe action should be taken, against the Patriots, and something should be done against Mike Vrabel. Or if you don't want to do anything about Mike Vrabel in closing, leave the other players alone. Leave the other people in the NFL alone who do something that you think is hurting the league's image.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with you in regards to Mike Vrabel. I'm not going to disagree that he looked like a clown in this situation, and then denied it at first, and then coming out later after more photos came out, the bar situation. I mean, obviously affecting his family. Yeah, of course. I mean, like you said, he's busted. But I will disagree with you that anything should be done about the Patriots. Look, the Patriots have their way. They've done things and they've been in trouble for it. But this is the actions of one singular person. Whether or not they're trying to conspire to hide anything or anything like that, I don't know. I doubt that's true, but I don't think the organization should be affected by the actions of one person. And the question probably should be whether or not Mike Vrabel should be fired or suspended by the league in regards to the actions, because they don't hesitate to do this to players, like you said. But in regards to the organization, I just think that if they're finally coming to face, they're trying to figure out what to do. They had their hard, difficult conversation with the organization and with his family, which is hilarious. So yeah, and he missed the third day of the draft to go take a trip with counseling. Again,
that day, James, they scheduled it that day. Very interesting. Of all the days, that's the only time the counselor wasn't available. Other days, they were only available that day of the draft.
Right,
yeah.
The third day, not the first day or the second day, but the third day. Yes, of course, which is hilarious. Yes, I mean I was born at night, not last night, Mike. So it was pretty funny. But I do think that the organization should come out clean from this. It's just look, and I think the biggest thing is I don't think anything's going to be done, because ultimately success is what matters in the league. And it's you just come in your first year, you get to the Super Bowl. Of course, the league's not going to allow this guy to get fired. You're not going to mess up a good thing against your brand. When I say your brand, I mean overall the NFL. And so, I mean, this is going to get slapped on the wrist. He may get a couple of games suspension. Who knows if it's even that? And they're going to go on with business as usual.
Well, they said they're not doing anything. The league said initially they're not getting involved in it. And
right. It's more personal stuff, and it's not domestic violence. It's just more of a moral issue. And so
they should not.
And they are not going to get involved.
But a reporter is getting information that other reporters
if the NFL deems the situation, if the NFL deems it's a tampering situation, then there's a different story. However, this is a story that Vrabel and his family and DeRossi and her family have to recover from. Now, I'm going to tell you, the optics for Mike Vrabel was not very good. Whoever's the PR representative for either the Patriots or for Vrabel, they need to be fired, because that was just ridiculous, the kind of stuff that just went on here as far as him, taking that day off to get recounseled on a day that they have a draft. That's dumb. Come on. So who was setting this whole thing up and just had that thought in their mind? Well, let's have Vrabel do some counseling on a day that we have a draft. Come on. So somebody needs to be fired in that situation. Good morning, Rick. How you doing there, buddy? Yeah, and that's the place. I mean, I'm. This is not. This is the kind of drama that the NFL doesn't really have to get involved with. Like I said, it's tit for tat. Everything's alleged anyway. Nobody's going to know the real truth, but the people that were involved in the whole situation and got up above. But other than that, I don't think the NFL should do anything against the.
He did everything but verbally admit to any wrongdoing. He never mentions Diane's name. He never says that he
wants to protect her, his other significant other.
He just says that he had difficult conversation, and he says his actions were wrong. So he doesn't say that he cheated on his wife. He doesn't say that he does. He just says the minimal stuff that will give the idea to us as viewers that he did something wrong.
James, it's the off season. It's the off season. It's a ways to go till September or till July when they play exhibition games. If he was away from the Patriot facility for a couple of months, I could respect that. From the moment on he went into counseling, and he didn't come back for a while, then I could believe he was in serious counseling. He's spending the time with his family. Look, if the man took the season off, I'd respect him a heck of a lot. Say, wow, he's coming clean. He's taking accountability. But no, football is the most important thing. He couldn't wait to get back to the office later that week. I mean, that Monday, right after the draft. He couldn't wait to get back. I mean, it was all a big show with him with the counseling. I'm not saying for the few hours it was a counseling, he didn't take it seriously for the few hours. But believe me, if he got a call during counseling that the Patriots were going to move up in the draft, do this or do that, he would have taken that call. His mindset would have been into that call.
I mean, it was 3 days. You got to give him credit for 3 days. 3 days of counseling.
I'm gonna
say that with a straight face.
I'm gonna say my last thing on it. I'm sorry I cut in. He says it's all laughable. Like I said earlier, I'm holding him to his words. I'm laughing at the guy, Mike Vrabel, because he's a clown. I'm laughing at him. He's a clown. You're a clown, Mike Vrabel, if you hear this. You're a clown. Show me something different by your actions going forward. You didn't do it when you had a chance. Let's see if you could do it now.
Yeah,
I have no more to say, Brian.
And anything else after that? I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, I don't think the NFL is going to do anything. I think New England did what they had to do. They had to talk with the coach, and like I said, it's up to the two families now. What happens in between them? Mike Vrabel's got to bear that stone to his wife. So it is what it is. Move along. I just like the optics were all messed up. So
and I
will say this. I will say this. Again, I'm just going to reiterate this. If Mike Vrabel had the same record as the previous coach that was there, and this happened, he'd be fired. He'd be fired, without a doubt. But again, success trumps everything, and I don't like using the word Trump anymore.
He's a heck of a coach. No one.
He's a heck of. But he's a heck of a coach, and that's what wins. I mean, winning cures all, as long as you're winning, But I mean, if the behavior's like this and you're losing, you're done. I mean, but they're going to find ways to keep him as a head coach. He's not going to get fired. I've seen media outlets say that he should be fired. That's not going to happen. That's just not going to happen, because they just coming off the heels of his first season with New England in a Super Bowl appearance. So it's just not going to happen.
Well, that's just a media on a witch hunt anyway. Media does that all the time. So they're going to, you should be fired. Half of y'all are doing the same thing he's doing. That's, don't throw stones in a glass house. Please don't do that. So I like I said, that's something he has to work out with his family. I don't think it's anything that New England can do any more about it. Or they've done enough what they could do about it. He's went to counseling, even though it was at a bad time. It is what it is. But I don't think he's going to, have to worry about the NFL dipping and dabbing in his business, because it's really not that significant as far as the whole outcome of the season. Anyway, next question. Has the time come for the Denver Nuggets to shake up their current roster and give Jokic a new supporting cast? Go ahead, James.
So the first round outing for Denver is a pretty devastating thing, because you're looking at a team in 2023 coming off the heels of a championship. And so, but, I think you have Jokic. He's got a great team. I think he has a great team. I think Jamal Murray has dynamic chemistry with him. Aaron Gordon, he was missed the last game, as you can see. Aaron Gordon has elevated his career when he was with Orlando all the way through here with Denver, and he's gotten better and better each year. And he's been a vital key cog for that team, defensively and offensively. I don't think the issue is breaking up the team, and because they're not I think they are a little bit under apron. Are they getting ready to go to apron? I'm not sure. But I don't think the issue is breaking the team up. I think the issue is, you have to don't question whether or not there's a response to leadership there. There's a response to leadership there. Mike Malone, whether they liked him or not, was probably their best option at coach there. They got fired. He got fired. Obviously, they were losing games. They had a 11-13 record when he got fired, but they were still above 500. I just think that maybe the players should stop responding to him. I think it might be a situation where you're looking at New York when they had Tom Thibodeau, kind of similar. These are hard-nosed coaches, old school coaches that were fired not because of their winning ability, but the question about whether or not these new generations are responding to the style of coaching that's being given to them. And I think that's not going to stop. The older head coaches are definitely going to start having issues with the newer generations regarding how they respond to them in their leadership styles. And I think this is a matter of that. Because now you're looking at the guy that took Mike Malone's place is David Adelman. He was on the team, but they're ousted in the first round. So replacing them, is that a big deal? I think maybe also losing a player like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope might have hurt them a little bit, but that might have put them over the apron. They couldn't afford to keep him. He was a 3-and-D player there. So I just think more so they're kind of in a rock and a hard place. I don't think you get rid of the core that you have there because it's a really good core group of players there. Maybe you change up a few extra of what as Shaq like to say, the others, and add a few other pieces there. But what are you going to put around him when you get rid of Jamal Murray or Aaron Gordon, these other players? I just think that they're in a tough position. I think the coaching has to come into question and how the response is to the between the players and the coach. Not the breaking the team up would be the answer. I don't think that would be the answer.
No, I wish I recall whether it was Sonia, Keith, or whoever, when the Nuggets hired Dave Adelman to replace Mike Malone. Like, what a great move. They're like a new team that inspired this, that. I'm still waiting for that to happen. Like I said at the time, I'm still waiting. Nothing against David Adelman, and I'm not saying he should be replaced. I'm not saying he's a bad coach. Let's say let's give him an incomplete grade right now. I'm okay if the Nuggets want to keep him on as coach because all these so-called high-profile coaches, they go elsewhere, and how many of them win championships? I mean, you mentioned Mike Malone. He's good enough to coach at a legendary school like North Carolina, but he's not good enough to be with the Nuggets. Sometimes someone's coaching a team a little too long and you need a change. I get all that. So I'm going to give David Adelman a pass. And if the Nuggets want to keep him on as coach, keep him on as coach, because what's the alternative? You're going to get a hard-nosed guy like Coach Tibbs for Denver. My concern about the Nuggets is that they might become stagnant. They're going to be a perennial playoff team the way they were this year, get eliminated, not be a serious championship contender, much as the Milwaukee Bucks became after they won the NBA title. They tried everything they could to make Giannis happy and nothing worked. My first order of business would be Jokic. I'm going to sit down with him and I'm going to say, you got to either give us a career commitment or not. You can't come back next year and say you want to get traded if you get bumped out of the playoffs. We might not win an NBA championship again with you here. You have to understand that. We'll be competitive. We'll make the playoffs. But what went on this year might go on every year from now on. If that's the case, do you want out? Okay, we're going to try to win a championship, but we don't know whether we can do it or not. And if Jokic says, I want to be a career Nugget no matter what, you keep him. You keep him, absolutely, and he's a legacy player. If he's wavering a little and he leaves the door open to a deal, kind of the way Giannis did, Giannis didn't want to leave Milwaukee for a while. He did it little by little. Then Jokic becomes part of a deal. I mean, I would hate trading him, but he's 31 years old. And if you look at what Jokic is going to be a few years from now, if you could make a blockbuster deal and get a youthful player, let's say for argument's sake, I'm just throwing this out there, the Minnesota Timberwolves might say, wow, we would trade Anthony Edwards for Jokic. We would, Anthony, because Jokic is a superstar. He's older, but he might be the guy to take us to the next step. I mean, you don't know what these teams might do. But if you keep Jokic, you got Jamal Murray, you got Aaron Gordon. Those guys are terrific players, but you're not winning another championship with them. You're not. This Denver Nuggets team now is not going to get better the way they're constructed. You got Tim Hardaway Jr. off the bench. You have three marketable guys outside of Jokic. And look at all the teams that are going to be willing to deal high-profile players for high-profile players in the offseason. I mean, there's so many possibilities of mixing and matching because there are going to be a lot of other disappointed teams. Yeah, if I'm Denver, you're not going to get better with the cast you have now. You got to do something.
I mean, Jokic, yeah. If they blow up the team because he's not happy about being ousted from it, because you can see he was visibly frustrated during the playoffs, near the end of the playoffs there, and getting into tussles with the Timberwolves. I mean, if he's actually committed to winning, so that's something you like to see in your player. But at the same time, if you throw your team under the bus, saying, hey, maybe this ain't the place for me to be playing, you might, if you hear something like that from your player, I don't think it's wise for you to keep him, because that's just going to cause a distraction through the whole rest of the next season, through the off season. I would probably say that, there was speculation that maybe he could be traded to to Dallas for some picks or whatever the case may be, so that Dallas would be back. Could you imagine Jokic and the rookie hooking up?
Flag.
That would be, Flag. Yeah, that'd be a nice little team up.
Well, what would he get traded for? Teams have to have the pieces for blockbuster deal like that, and it would have to be. I'm not sure. Kyrie Irving's a little older. They don't have the pieces, Dallas, outside of Cooper Flag, who they're obviously not going to trade.
Unless Dallas decides to blow up their roster
then
too.
Cooper Flag is untouchable. I mean, certain players are untouchable. Yeah.
And on top of that, let me ask a question. I not that I know that this is a sum of fact. Do players in the NBA, can they have their contracts restructured, or is that something that doesn't happen? I don't remember hearing that before.
No, they don't. I haven't heard the players restructuring their deals. No, I haven't heard of that.
Especially with just guaranteed money. I mean, fully guaranteed money. It's just, why that'd be foolish on a player to restructure.
Yeah, well, maybe teams need to start thinking about that for the future, because I mean, it seems to work with the NFL in a certain way where they can get players and other players are, they want to win, and I think that would be good for them. Yeah. I think that would be great for the NBA.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, there's going to be a lot of disappointed teams that are going to move on from players or be willing to pull the trigger on a major deal because they have to gamble. I mean, there's a good number of them, really. We could just, it starts with Giannis. I mean, if you give them Murray, Gordon, Hardaway, you'll get their attention.
Yeah, it's something Denver's going to have to think about in the future here, because they're not getting it done. And I mean, they haven't been far removed from having a championship, so it's not like they haven't had one in the last 20 years or something like that. So it's a very sticky situation for the Nuggets right now, and how their franchise is working. But I hope for everybody, especially Jokic, because he's a dynamic player. And, having 2 years, like Rich said on there, 2 years as a max contract, they need to get everything out of him if they're not going to trade him. So they need to really recounsel with him. You know what I'm saying? Just talk to him. And like you said, Jack,
there are only two players who I think are absolutely untradeable. Maybe three, maybe Jokic, but that's up to him. because he's a legacy player. The only two players who are absolutely untradeable, Cooper Flagg and Kate Cunningham. I mean, they're not going to get traded for anyone. I mean, even for one another, both teams wouldn't pull off the deal. Everyone else is tradable, including Luka. I mean, if Dallas called up and offered Cooper Flagg for Luka, Luka'd be back at Dallas. I mean, at this point, they really would.
And the only player on that organization, on the Denver Nuggets organization, that could be conceivably traded would be Jamal Murray, considering that he hasn't shown up the past couple of years in the playoffs. He's had some seriously streaky play. Although to me, the relationship chemistry wise between Jokic and Murray is a dynamic one. I mean, it's excellent. They're like Batman and Robin for real.
But we agree with this. Denver, if they stay pat, they're not likely to go back to an NBA Finals with this group.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, not with in being in the West with OKC and the way San Antonio are built. They're just they're in their way. There's no way.
Yeah, the West is pretty tough.
And this is telling that you lost to a Minnesota Anthony Edwards less team. So that's even worse. So yeah, so maybe that just tore my whole argument up. Maybe they do need to be tore up.
All right. From Jokic to the Dallas Cowboys. Did the Dallas Cowboys make the correct decision in franchise tagging George Pickens instead of giving him a multi-year deal? Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, of course they made the right decision. People tend to think what you've done for me lately. And Pickens had a great year last year with the Cowboys. We knew he was a great receiver with Pittsburgh. Great receivers are not traded from their team for a third-round draft choice unless they have a major contract issue. It's usually discontent. He was a pain in the butt for Mike Tomlin at Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin is a player's coach. He knows how to handle players. His players love Coach Tomlin. Yet he couldn't take George Pickens after a while. The Steelers showed a lot of patience with George Pickens. The Cowboys took a fly on George Pickens on a third-round draft choice, and it paid off. He had a heck of a year, but there was a little bit of a red flag. There was one game where he didn't seem to hustle after the ball. Ball thrown to him. He was kind of going through the motions a little. And you're going to give a guy like George Pickens a multi-year deal at big money? If you do it, you better throw him the ball all the time. Then he's going to perform. But if he feels he's being slighted in the slightest, George Pickens is going to shut down, and you're going to be paying him like one of the top receivers in the game. And also, if you look at the history of all these elite wide receivers, how many of them have been difference makers for their teams? I mean, just look at it. I mean, how many teams have gone to the Super Bowl with these elite, great receivers? I mean, look at Dallas last year. I mean, they didn't have an elite receiver per se, who you're going to say is one of the top 5 in the NFL. And we see that year after year.
CeeDee Lamb.
Well, no, I'm talking about Seattle.
Oh, Seattle.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What?
I said something else.
Yeah, you said
Wait.
Dallas at first, so.
Yeah.
They got JSN as a.
They won the Super Bowl, but look, year after year. And I like to give an example of Cooper Kupp when the Rams won the Super Bowl. He wasn't one of the best receivers in the NFL, but these guys are dependable. They're dependable. Look, as much as I love certain receivers, there's certain elite receivers. Like you look at Justin Jefferson, you look, Cincinnati's duo and so on. It's a little different, how certain teams make out with elite wide receivers. But that's not the point. That's not the question. I'm getting off track. George Pickens has a 1-year franchise tag, $28 million. Let him perform. And if he has a good year, franchise tag him again for $32 million. He's not going to be in poverty. 60 million 2 years. And in the third season, guess what? You have to pay him 47 million a year. And either he gets his big money or he gets a multi-year deal somewhere. Pickens has a couple of years to prove he's a real team player. He's an elite receiver, deserves to be one of the highest paid. And if he's going to pout and not put out, that shows you've made the right decision, not giving him a multi-year deal.
Oh, Jack, man. Let me unpack some things here you just said. First of all, you mentioned that Cooper Kupp was not an elite receiver. You don't have to be elite your whole career in order to have moments in time when you're elite. Cooper Kupp almost nearly hit 2,000 yards a year. The Rams won the Super Bowl.
One of the top few receivers in football. That's what I meant. He's elite.
Overall,
he's not one of the top 5 receivers, yet he gets it done.
Yeah. And I mean, and also we're talking about a guy who's, and you mentioned Seattle, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Again, these are both names that you mentioned as offensive player of the year. These are guys that, like, that year that they won Super Bowl, they were at their best and they were dominant. Whether they're top 5 or not, they were just that. And
I agree. They're not top 5, that's what I mean. I agree with you. They perform great, but they're not one of the top 5 receivers who get paid that money accordingly. I'm sorry I'm cutting in, James, but I got to correct the point.
Oh, he's getting paid now.
Yeah. That's the thing. They've gotten paid off of what they've done. Yes. And when you see these guys the next year, when they do the vote of the top 100 players, they're in the top. They typically are voted by their peers. They are top 5, whatever their positions are. And so I would have to disagree with that. So I would say that they are considered top 5 based on what they've done, not but what their talents and skills are. I mean, it's just what they've done. So they consider top 5. So that being said, to me, you're doing a disservice by paying $27.3 million to George Pickens versus giving him a contract, because he was the dude last season for Dallas. The guy that's getting paid $136 million for 4 years, CeeDee Lamb, was hurt. He was hurt. He got paid off what he did in the past, but he wasn't worth his contract last season because he was hurt. George Pickens took up the slack. And not only did he take up the slack, he was 3rd in the league with 1,429 yards in the league, not in the NFC. So he was one of the best receivers. So, and is he getting paid like that? The top receivers right now are making close to 35 million a year. So 27 to me is kind of like getting a discount, but he's hitting a rock in a hard place. So he signed it. But why would you take that again if you do the same thing this year? There's no way I'm taking that. I'm going to either go somewhere else and get better money, and you franchise me, I'm not playing. I'm going to sit because I'm getting the short end of the stick if I'm the player. I get it. Yes, $27 million is a lot of money. But if there are guys out there that played less than me or got less yards than me, like Chris Olave had 1,100 and some X amount of yards, he's going to get 35 million, $35 million a year based off what the contract range is right now, what the going rate is. So George is actually getting the short end of the stick on this situation.
Wait. Get a 3rd-round draft choice. That's all he was worth a year ago.
It doesn't matter, Jack. It doesn't matter. That means Dallas they're winning on both ends. They didn't draft him, but at the level that he was drafted, somebody's getting a huge return on the investment that they took away.
You're trusting this personality. You're not taking that into consideration.
It doesn't matter, Jack. It doesn't matter. That's the past. He gave you, again, he could have just pouted. And I think part of it was quarterback play in Steeler Nation. You have a much better quarterback that's throwing you the ball consistently in Dallas. You can't tell me that anybody outside of Ben Roethlisberger that was good in Dallas that was getting him the ball when he needed to get the ball. Don't get me wrong. Yes, I agree. He did take some plays off, but the quarterback play is the bigger issue there.
If Dak Prescott gets hurt and he's out, then Pickens is going to start to pout. Okay,
that's the time we got to see on that when it happens. I can't make believe and create some story that potentially won't happen, and just say I'm going off the facts and what he's giving you. He went in there as a dog and put out some big time numbers as a number one. You got 2 number 1 receivers on the team. I don't usually like to have that in a team, but you're in a situation Dallas is making out like a fat rat because they got 2 number 1s. It's shrewd on Jerry Jones's situation. He's getting over in this situation, but this is what it is. But if you're the player, no. Does he deserve more money? Of course he deserves more money just by what he put on the product that he put on the field. He deserves to get paid more money. I mean, my past is my past, man. You going to judge me, everybody for their past? I mean, whatever the situation is, I mean, no. Look at Mike Vrabel. His past, that's in his past now. He's still going to be coaching.
George Pickens says more than a past. He has a history. There's more of a past. He didn't have one.
He just gave you the best part of his career in 2025. That's the best that you've seen of George Pickens. And part of it, again, that helped that was quarterback play. Good, competent quarterback play there consistently. And it happened. And so, and again, he stepped up. Your leader was CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb got hurt. So they needed George Pickens to step up and be a dog there, and he was, and then some. So yeah, I mean, you have to pay for what you get. I mean, the product that's put on the field. This is America. You don't do things for free. It's not a charitable organization.
I feel sorry they're taking advantage of that young man.
Yes, they are taking advantage, Jack. They are. I mean, I get it. There's $27 million. It's a lot of money, but it's not the most. Again, when you see somebody else that doesn't produce as much as you're doing, making more money than you, if I'm in that situation, that's not what I want to see. I want to see, okay, pay me what my worth is.
Let me just close. The last thing I'm going to say on this subject, I'm going to ask you, James. If he pouts during this year, training camp at any point over what he's getting paid, would that then validate the Cowboys' decision why they didn't give him the contract because they were concerned in part about attitude? Would that validate their thoughts?
I could say yes, but my thing is, to me, he's not going to pout because he signed the contract.
If he does, and I think he will, and I think he will.
I doubt it. Why sign the contract? He could have just sat out and did. He could have pulled a number. There's players that have set.
It would have hurt his value going forward if he sat out. It would only make things worse.
Exactly. You're proving my point. That's why he signed it. So that leads me to think that he's not going to pout to hurt his value. Why would you do that? Why would you? Yeah, exactly. Why would you? Exactly. So why would you pout in the season if that's the case? I mean, especially when you just produced your biggest stats or career the stats of your career in one season with a really good quarterback. And he seems to have a good relationship with Dak Prescott as well. Judging from what I saw from them in postseason and the franchise, not the franchise, but the Pro Bowl and different things like that. It seems like I think he likes being in Dallas. So yeah, I don't think, but I do think he's not getting the worth. I think he should have got a bigger contract.
Well, I'm gonna put it to you like this: you hit 2 points on the head, but for different reasons. Trying to make the case for him to get paid. Let me tell you something. I witnessed the Detroit-Dallas game. Both CeeDee Lamb and him were in that game. CeeDee Lamb got hurt in the second half. What did Pickens do? Not a damn thing. And I'm going to tell you something about this whole situation with him getting those yards. He had benefited from the fact that they're double teaming CeeDee Lamb and not double teaming him. And they have a very good, capable quarterback.
That's not all true, man. That's not all true.
That is true. It is.
Well, a lot of his yards came when CeeDee Lamb was not playing. He got hurt. He got hurt.
37 yards when they were playing in a half. He didn't make any kind of plays against
it happens. It happens.
That sucked. Okay?
It still happens. It happens. But again, you can't disprove that CeeDee Lamb got hurt, and a lot of his yards came when CeeDee Lamb was not on the field, dude. CeeDee Lamb was not on the field. He was not on the field when most of his yards came. He was not on the field, so you can't argue that.
Games that CeeDee Lamb
he dominated those 3 games. He dominated those 3 games.
Let me check that stat for you because I don't think that's exactly true. Because he certainly didn't dominate the Lions game at all when CeeDee Lamb went out. CeeDee Lamb was actually killing the Lions in that game. And anybody should have been killing that secondary because that secondary was crap. So
it happens. It happened. But look up the yards when CeeDee Lamb was not there.
Because I'm gonna tell you, let's see. Philadelphia, Washington. What teams? Let me get against his splits. So both these games, Philadelphia versus and Washington, they played together. Look at this. CeeDee Lamb got 185 yards and 156 yards against Washington. George Pickens, 176 and 160 against Washington. Those are 2 games that CeeDee played with him. So CeeDee is playing out of his mind anyway. He's one of the top four wide receivers in the league. And
not last year. Not last year.
Well, maybe not because of his injury, but he still had 1,077 yards.
Yes, but 1,429 by the other guy. That's a significant difference. That's a significant difference, my man.
Okay, I'm just saying that I just pointed out 2 games where they both got a lot of yards in the game, and it was because of CeeDee Lamb was in it too. Those are significant games. George Pickens went over 100 yards.
Joe, tell me the yards that he got when he wasn't playing, when he was not playing, when CeeDee Lamb did not play.
The Chargers, Oakland, Philadelphia, and Washington were all team games he went over 100 yards in. Okay? CeeDee Lamb, let's see. CeeDee Lamb had 121 yards against Detroit before he went out, and that was just after the half. 121. You know how many Pickens had in that game at half? 37 yards. You got to make the case better than that.
Give me the reason. You keep going over the fact give me the games that CeeDee didn't play and give me the yards for those for George Pickens.
Yeah.
When double teams happen on a player and he still dominates.
Well, that's the Philadelphia and the Washington game. They were probably doubling CeeDee Lamb and
I'm saying the game. I'm asking you the games that CeeDee did not play. What games did CeeDee not play?
Let's see. They played the Giants. He didn't play the Jets, did he? No. So the Jets game, he got 57 yards. That's a game CeeDee Lamb didn't play in.
Okay.
Let's see. Minnesota. They played Minnesota. Chargers, they played. Kansas City, they played. Detroit, they played. Denver, they played. Arizona. Okay, Carolina. One game that he had 168 yards that CeeDee Lamb did not play. They played Chicago. He got, without CeeDee Lamb, he got 68 yards. Okay. So you're looking at, let's see, 3 teams that he didn't play. Carolina, Chicago, and the Jets. And those 3 games that CeeDee Lamb was not in there, he got 168 versus Carolina, 68 against Chicago, and 57 against the Jets. So that proves your theory's wrong there. Anytime CeeDee Lamb is in the game, he's going to light that scoreboard up. I mean, Pickens is good. He is a very good complement to CeeDee Lamb because CeeDee Lamb's drawn a lot of coverage his way. And CeeDee Lamb is yes, he didn't have a great year last year, but he's still drawing double coverage like he is having. He is a great receiver. So you got to look at that. He's drawing that coverage, and then you got Pickens. And Dak, I don't care what nobody says about Dak. Dak is a dynamic quarterback. You can talk all that crap you want to about Dak. Dak will find his guy. And yes, he and Pickens do have a good eye to eye. But at the same time, dude, CeeDee Lamb is the guy out there taking coverage away from Pickens. And when Pickens does that, Pickens will be playing at the top of his level because that's what he is. He is a very good receiver. I'm not taking that away from Pickens. He is a very good receiver. However, like I said, the Dallas game showed me a lot about his character. The Detroit-Dallas game showed me a lot about his character because he was the man that should have had that stuff on his shoulders when CeeDee Lamb went out in the second half. And like I said, it was against a bad defensive secondary. And CeeDee Lamb was lighting their ass up in the beginning of the game. And Pickens was not even part of that in lighting it up. So I can't buy this. Let's give Pickens a big contract because he had big numbers with CeeDee Lamb because CeeDee Lamb was drawing a lot of coverage away from him. He didn't do nothing.
It's hard for me to accept what you're saying because you're the same person that won't give Jahmyr Gibbs a contract, and that's strange to me. So I disagree. It doesn't matter. He's one of the most premier running backs.
James, that's a cheap shot at Brian. That's like me saying you would shake up all the goodwill and the chemistry of the dream team by forcing Isaiah Thomas on them. That's the same thing. I mean, come on.
No, that's not a cheap shot. I'm just saying.
Nothing to do. Gibbs' contract got nothing to do with anything, as an example.
No, I'm just saying to not give this guy a contract from what he's done on the field. You're trying to discredit what he's done. No, but I'm saying, but he's trying to discredit what he's done on the field because he's saying that it's based off of what CeeDee Lamb.
But I'm not. I'm trying to tell you the reason why I wouldn't give him a long-term contract. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Why I would not give him a long-term contract because he's only playing. He only had one game out of those 3 games that he had 168 yards and he went over 100 yards.
I think George Pickens, with a good attitude, is a number 1 receiver for a team. No doubt about it. It's his attitude that bothers me a lot. Okay, yeah. Let him prove he could have a good attitude at Dallas, play under the franchise tag, play great for 1 season, even 2 seasons. If he plays great for 2 seasons, he is a free agent. He's going to get his money elsewhere if he has a good attitude and plays great. He will get.
If he plays great this this season, I guarantee you he's not under another franchise tag. He's going to either sit out.
Technically,
he'll probably sit out.
$2 million.
And I would not be mad at any player to get a second franchise tag that dominates. It's how hard it is to do what you're doing on that end. That's ridiculous. That's the organization taking fully advantage, and that's where to me this is where the agreement, I forgot what it's called when they get together and they need to change that. There's no way you should have 2 franchise tags on a player. It should be 1 and done.
Franchise tag should be looked at as the ultimate compliment that they're tying one guy up. If you want to look at it,
how is that a compliment? When it's one set price. It's whatever, I guess the market price or whatever. It's not a compliment.
I guess we can move on from this, but it remains to be seen what George Pickens does next season. Let's see what his attitude is. You think he's going to come with a good attitude for the year, James? I don't, but we'll see. I
hate to disagree with you. I just pulled up the stats too, so you can send me that. But I just pulled up the stats from ESPN. The games that they missed, he missed. He only had 100 over 100 yard game, and he had the rest of them was like 87 and a 37. Well, for the second half for the whole game for the Detroit game, and then he had like a 57 yard game against the other one that CeeDee Lamb wasn't in. Let me tell you something. I think George Pickens is a good receiver. As a number 1, he probably still needs to grow into that position because when he was with Pittsburgh, just remember something. He was a number 1 receiver there. He went 800 yards, 1,000 yards, and then 900 yards with Pittsburgh. Okay, that's not exactly number 1 receiver quality numbers. So, I mean, again, you got to look at the fact that CeeDee
You're contradicting yourself, B. You just said Dak Prescott is one of the best quarterbacks that's in the league. You're telling me, yeah, we got to move on. But there was no quarterback play like Dak Prescott while he was there either at the same time.
Yeah, and he was just the number 1 receiver, right?
But you got to have somebody throw you the ball. That's confidence. You got to have somebody throw you the ball the way Dak Prescott.
No.
Yes. It does matter consistently. Yes, it does matter consistently.
It doesn't matter if you're number one receiver. You should be getting the ball all the time because there's nobody else to throw to, right?
But somebody's got to throw it competently, consistently. Somebody has to throw you the ball like Dak Prescott. There was no play like that in Pittsburgh. There was no quarterback play like that. Yeah, and you can't argue that. There's none.
I will agree to disagree with this whole conversation. So
yes, sir.
I'm just telling you right now, CeeDee Lamb was part of the reason why George Pickens was the receiver he was last year. I'm just saying.
And we can agree and disagree on that. Yeah.
All right. Next question is, the past week, Alex Cora got fired as a Red Sox manager, as well as Robbie Thompson let go by the Phillies. Do you feel that either or both of them, both moves were justified? We'll go to James on that one.
So the Alex Cora one, yes, it was just time. I mean, he hadn't won a championship since 2018, and they've been on a downswing ever since. And so, I mean, finally, at some point, yes. But the Rob Thompson one, I'm just because I know we got short on time here, I'm just going to disagree with that one. I just think that, I mean, they hadn't been. I mean, go back to Alex Cora. They hadn't been to a playoff. They hadn't been in postseason since 2018. Yes, playoffs. But they hadn't been in the postseason since. And
they were in the playoffs last year, James. They lost to the Yankees.
Well, last year, yes, but before that, it was a drought, wasn't it?
Not really. Well, I should let you finish, and then with time.
Yeah. So before that, it was a major drought, and look, I mean, misuse of talent there as well. I mean, I could imagine, they didn't really, they had issues with their bullpen too as well, from what I researched. I just think that Alex Cora was justified, but I think there might be an issue with with Rob Thompson.
Well, yeah, I'm going to say this. Alex Cora was arguably the most respected manager in baseball. Not only did they win a World Series in the past, the players absolutely loved him. He's the type of manager who can get a job at virtually any opening there. He'll get a job very easily. I mean, he's like he's the equivalent of what Vince Scully was as a baseball announcer. If the Dodgers moved on from Vince Scully, all these major league teams would hire him at the snap of the finger. He could go just about anywhere he wants. I mean, now, and the Phillies were going to hire him as their manager right after he got let go by the Red Sox. The problem was the Red Sox had a new GM, Craig Breslow, and new GMs like to hire their own guy. And he hired his own guy, brought up a manager from the minors who he knew, so on. And they like to deal with their own players. I blame John Henry, the owner of the Red Sox, because the owner should take charge. It's their team. Make the ultimate choice. Don't give these GMs all the power unless you really are buying into your GM and you fully trust them 100%. So, like I said, the Red Sox won the playoffs last year. They overachieved, so they got off to a slow start this year for 1 month. Give them a chance to straighten out. I mean, Alex Cora, even if they had a bad year this year, he's my manager going forward. You're going to have a hard time getting a manager of his quality. And like I said, he could go just about anywhere he wants. Rob Thompson, the Phillies made the playoffs the last 3 years. And they're moving on from him, and they're hiring Don Mattingly, who's the
I agree with you on that.
Preston Mattingly. Something
but
looks
Jack,
off there.
Just not to interrupt, but just one thing. The Red Sox had top 10 payrolls, and they were in last place for some of the years during his under his watch.
No, that's not accurate. And there were a number of moves made, bad contracts given. As well, like to Rafael Devers, who, they paid big money to, then they traded. Not that trade's coming out bad now. Devers is struggling with the San Francisco Giants. But even the moves they made this offseason are kind of mixed, are questionable that the Red Sox made. Some of the moves are good, some not as good. Time's basically going to tell. But the point is, Alex Cora was so respected that after they won the championship, he got let go from the Houston Astro sign stealing scandal. He was involved with the Astros at the time. And even after suspension, they rehired him back, the Red Sox. That's how respected he was when they could have moved on from him very easily. No questions asked. They came back to him. I just don't like this. He's good enough to go to the Phillies, Alex Cora. You know, the moment he gets let go by the Red Sox and they fire Robbie Thompson, who accepted Don Mattingly as his bench coach, and Don Mattingly is the son of, you know, the GM, assistant GM, you know, and I just don't like the whole narrative, what went down. And I love Don Mattingly, but should he have even taken this job? Or should he have talked out publicly? And I don't want to hear, well, the Phillies have won their last few games. Don Mattingly has managed a good number of years in the major leagues. It's proven that he's no more than an average manager. He's no better than that. That at best, he's an average manager. And what can I say? I don't like these moves. I don't like them at all.
Well, I'm going to be that guy that tells you they have won. Both these teams have won their last 4 games
That
since they've
nothing.
changed
That
manager.
always, they could have won it with you as their manager.
You know,
Right.
it don't make a difference. It don't make a difference.
And you know that's true.
Winning cures everything, right? So if they win 4 games and they continue
They
to
were going to get
to
better.
win,
They're good teams. They were going to get better. It was inevitable. They're both going to get better.
but the point I'm trying to make is, if they fired these coaches and they replaced them with other coaches that weren't, that weren't good at all, then they would be losing games. Both teams have won 4 games in a row after their managers gotten fired. I don't think that's a coincidence, Jack. I think there was probably some things that were going on with both the coaches too. Now, me personally, I'm with you on the whole Alex and Robbie. I'm just telling you how the perception and the optics look to fans. So they got rid of them. And one of our guys on here, Nate, he's a big Red Sox fan. He said that Alex Cora should have got fired anyway, but he's also the same guy that said Thibodeau should have got fired. So what do I know? You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, James. I know you.
Well, no, I went. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
but when you have a good team, it's inevitable they will get better at some point. Like 2 years ago, let's say the Lions fired Dan Campbell. It was inevitable they would have a decent team no matter who was coaching them. That's the point. It's not going to justify it. Seattle, if they move on from their coach, they fire. And even the Cowboys, they fired Jimmy Johnson. It was inevitable the Cowboys were at least going to contend for the Super Bowl, and they did win it 2 years later. Doesn't justify a move.
It is what it is. I mean, yeah, I kind of agree with you a little bit, Jack, and I kind of agree with the fans too. I mean, if you're winning, you're winning, but it is a long season. Anyway, that's going to wrap up the rest of this debate. Everybody have a great rest of your Saturday. We will see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock a.m.
Tomorrow.
Everybody have a great one.